friends, it's Diane the Creative Inkster, and today is Wednesday, and it's March 23rd, 22nd. Oh my goodness, I'm a little confused. I took Monday off and that throws the whole week off, the 22nd. I'm really glad to be here. Tonight I'm doing something with embossing folders that is not what I had originally planned to show you. What I was working on didn't kind of work out the way I'd hoped, so we're going to go to plan B. So with this you can use any kind of embossing machine with embossing folders. It really doesn't matter what machine you basically have. They all kind of work the same. So hang in there with me while we talk about a few of the different types of embossing folders that Stampin' Up! Sells. And this is my favorite, brick and mortar. It's practically worn out in the way of the logo right along the edge here. This is what's known as a 3D embossing folder. It's thicker at the ends compared to this one. You can see the difference there. I know they're both very light colored. This is the quatrefoil one, and it is much thinner. It's a standard, or what we call a standard embossing folder, because of the thickness of it. And then we have the 3D ones. When you use your emboss and cut machine, you're going to take your main plate, and for the standard ones, you're going to slip your paper inside and put it between two of the clear plates. These are two brand new ones that haven't been cut into. And then you're going to run that through, and your paper is going to be embossed. When you're working with the 3D ones, though, you need to use a different sandwich. You need to still put your paper on the inside, and then you're going to use this plate, which comes with your machine. It's plate number 4. So instead of the two clear plates you would use for the standard, you're going to use this gray plate number 4, where it says this is not a cutting surface, and you're going to use that on top of your embossing folder with its paper in and run it through. And as a tip, you want to always be putting the fold end through first, through the machine, not the other way around. It's just easier on the fold as it's going through the rollers that are underneath. Now, if you have the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it's exactly the same thing. You have the same types of plates, and you follow the same rules. It's just that your embossing folders are only up to 3 inches wide. In fact, this one is exactly 3.5. So it goes through the mini, and it's just a little bit smaller. But what I wanted to show you today was how you can take a piece of paper that is wider than your embossing folder and run it through without getting lines on it. So if you were to take this one, actually I have a sample here of one of the ones that didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. Here we go. So this was the leaf one, and I ran it through once, which embossed this amount, and then I ran it through a second time, and I got this line down here on my paper. And the reason for that is, and the same thing happened on this one, I put this much through, and then there's a line for where I put it through the second time. And the reason for that is when you put your paper in, then you're going to run it, no, I need a wider piece. Grab a piece here. When you put your piece through, and then you go to put it through a second time to get that little bit on the edge, each time you're going through, your plate is hitting on here, and that's leaving the indentation. So this is a new embossing folder, and it is a thick one. So we're going to use the black plate. So if we go through and put this on here, this part is going to leave a line. So you'll see that when you go to put it through the second time to put the rest of the pattern on that paper. How we get around that is we meld with another product we have, which is the plate from the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So it's the exact same one you use in the big one. It's a lighter gray. It's plate number 3, and it tells you right on here, for use with standard embossing folders. but you can use it on your big machine to help kind of avoid this line making situation. So let me show you what I'm talking about in action. So I'm going to bring my regular size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is, I'm calling them Basics 1, 2, and 3 because they are a set of 3 embossing folders. These are flowers, these are dots, and these are more of a hashtag, not really hashtag, that's not the right word, but sort of a lined image. And they're just basic shapes, basic images that you'd want to use. They come in a set of 3. They're available in our online exclusives piece of the website, so they're not in any catalog, and you get all 3 for $41 as they're sold as a set of 3. So I'm going to demonstrate how to take the floral one and do this technique with a piece that's 5 by 5. So why would I want this? Well, maybe I have a card that's square and I want this layer on the front of it. So we're going to slide it in. This black line on the embossing folders is a great place to use to line up your pattern so that you can see that it's straight. So I line up my cardstock inside there against that black line. Oh, great, I'm glad, Valerie. Yeah, they're awesome. So I'm lining this up here, and I'm going to pull my base plate out just a bit, and we're going to take this one piece, it's plate number 3 from the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and if you don't have it, that's okay because you can purchase it. You can purchase these plate sets separately. And I'm going to stick it over here. Now I do want it to cover all of the paper on this side, but I don't want it to cover where the edge of the folder is, or it's going to leave that mark. So we're going to line it up like it's going to go through the embossing folder. We have the fold edge at the front. We'll just move it forward and run this through. I apologize, the table's going to shake, the camera's going to shake. Look away if that makes you feel dizzy. And by doing that, we have our pattern on here. And we have this piece here without a line. You can't, there's a delineation between what's embossed and not embossed, but there's no line there. So then to line this up to continue to emboss the rest of this, you are going to go over some of what is already embossed. You'll find that these have fairly strong grooves on them, and because we lined it up using the black line as the bottom of your paper, we can kind of do the same thing. We're just going to try to line the pattern up underneath. So we're lining the bottom with the bottom, and we're lining the pattern up with what's already been embossed. Now we're going to, oh, silly me, I want to put it on the other side. Okay, we got to do that again. So we're going to line up on the bottom with the black line, and we're going to, I know it's hard for you to see, but I'm tilting it so that I can see where the flowers are and lining up on the embossed pieces. And you'll feel it kind of grab it underneath. And now we're going to put it through, and once again, with the base plate on your big machine, your embossing folder with the paper inside and the fold at the top, and then this smaller plate without going over the lip here to create the line. We're going to line that up. We're going to run that through. And just like that, we have some magic happening. And there we have it. We have our embossed piece. It's 5 by 5, which is wider than the actual embossing folder, which is 4.5. So you can go as wide as your base of your machine is. You see that? So you will see when you go over to the right, it might have been depressed a little bit more, but there's no vertical line messing it up. So now let's look at doing the same idea, but going where we're going not wider, but longer. So I did cut this to 10 inches, and it's 4 and a bit wide. So it's not the full 11 inches, and that's because the folder itself It is 6 and a bit. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't end up with the piece in the middle missing. So I'm going with a 10-inch piece. And again, why would I want this? Well, would I be making a slimline card perhaps? Or I could be using this in paper crafting and memory keeping in a scrapbook page. So this time I'm going to use what I'm calling Basics number 2. I don't think they actually have names. And I'm going to slide this in and get my dots lined up. So I'm sliding it into the top. Now this time I can actually use the plate that comes with the big machine. So I'll move this back out. So here's our base plate. Here's our cardstock inside the folder with the fold edge going in first. And then we're going to take our plate number 4 and we're just going to make sure that we have it line up. I'll check this so you can see. So that it's not going to be over the edge of the embossing folder. Otherwise, it will leave the line there. So that's what we're trying to avoid. All right, and away we go through. There we go. Sorry, we're wiggling again. It's going to make a little clunk noise. There we go. And this particular pattern, we can actually flip it upside down very easily. And it's got the same pattern. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We want to now emboss this part of it. So we line up what's already mostly embossed. You'll see that the pattern on this ends with half circles. Come on. There we go. And it kind of grabs them underneath. Put it back in here with the fold at the front. And then this plate can slide through, and we're going to have it come just below. So I think if you use that black line on the embossing folder, sorry, I'm moving that out of camera view. If you use the black line as your lineup spot, that really helps. Run that through, so you can see it now. It's not going to cover where the edge of your embossing folder is. Hi, Vicki. Sorry, I'm very enthralled and intensely thinking about what I'm doing, so this turns out well for you. And we'll pull it apart, and there now we have a long piece. That one turned out really nicely. That's 10 inches long. And I mean, you could cut it up into strips, you could do whatever you wanted with it, but it makes a great piece for a scrapbook page. So that's my tips and tricks with using your embossing folders for other reasons. If you're interested in knowing more about this set of 3, which I'm calling affectionately Basics 1, 2, and 3, it's a set of embossing folders in our online exclusives section of the web store. It is they are ones that you will use over and over for lots of different projects because they cross over various different project types. So that's why they're called basics, because you need them and they're good. And they will fit in the standard size cut and emboss machine. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.